My first reform will be to place a freeze on federal hiring. We can expect that more than 10% of the current workforce will retire over the next 5 years. It's a fairly safe bet that not everyone who leaves needs to be replaced. We will go with a simple 3-out, 1-in rule across the federal workforce, with exceptions for critical positions related to our security and to our safety. Only 1 new hire for every 3 who leave. This policy can, on its own, reduce the size of the federal bureaucracy by 10% over 5 years. With other reforms, which are more than possible as well, we could reduce the bureaucracy by more than 10% within 4 years, my first term as President of the United States, saving tens of billions of dollars without adding to unemployment. We made those tough cuts in Florida. And under our reforms, we also made top-level management more accountable by defining them as at-will employees. We ensured that employees at every level could be let go if they weren't doing a good job. The effect was to up everybody's game, attract new talent, and above all, to remind public employees that they're there to serve. Whether it's a company's employees we're talking about or a government workforce, the whole idea of management is to reward good performance and make the best the standard. And that's not the system we have in Washington, D.C. right now. Much of what we have is a relic of the 1970s during the Carter administration. And let's just say they didn't have the taxpayers' interest foremost in mind. This is not a partisan issue, by the way. We have structural deficits now that we have to address. It doesn't matter who's the cause of all this. It's time to reform all of these things to make government smaller so that we can rise up as a nation again. The system they have left us rewards longevity instead of performance. Many federal employees are paid far more than their private sector counterparts. Compared to private sector employees, federal employees earn a little over $1,500 more per year in wages and nearly $16,000 a year in benefits. There are a lot of exemplary employees in the federal government, but they're treated no better than the bad ones. And the bad ones are almost impossible to effectively discipline or remove. Job security is one thing, job entitlement is another. And every time a federal employee needs to be moved along, it shouldn't be a federal case. The system is so broken that in 2013, the number of federal employees terminated for cause actually fell to 0.18%, 1/5 of 1%. So I will put in motion some long overdue reforms. Obviously, federal employees should retain civil rights and whistleblower protections. But beyond that, the time it takes to remove an unproductive employee should be measured in weeks rather than years. Just like in the real world, compensation should depend on the type of work and the quality of the work. If the aim is to bring out the best in public servants and to improve morale across the federal workforce, then we've got to get the incentives right. No more doling out raises across the board. If we respect and recognize skill and dedication when we see them, then I promise you, we'll see a lot more excellence in the ranks of the civil service, and we'll attract new talent as well. I will also propose, along with merit pay, enhanced financial incentives for managers whose skill and careful planning actually reduce spending. When federal employees are found squandering public money, we should call them out on it. And when they find ways to save money, we should reward them for it. Here in Florida, you all know very well the Davis Productivity Awards, which is a great model that we should bring to Washington, D.C. to reward people that are focusing on shrinking government.